right, let's talk about pills people take during their races that are not for salt or Tums. Tums is for stomach acid, very safe. Calcium carbonate. This is not like taking Prilosec or one of those things that builds a blood level. Those aren't immediate acting. Don't mess with them. They used to be prescription for a reason. They have side effects. Salt pills, very safe. Watch the salt video if you want to know about salt. We're talking about things people take for pain, not things people take for nausea. That would be ibuprofen, Aleve, Tylenol, aspirin. The only thing that is okay to take is Tylenol, acetaminophen. Remember that Motrin is also ibuprofen. Remember that naproxen and Aleve are the same thing. Those medications that I'm saying to don't take, those are called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You don't have to memorize that. Just only take Tylenol. Here is why you have to not take the other kind of medications. There's two reasons. Reason one, you have to back up a little bit and cover kidneys. Your kidneys are like a filter. It's very complicated, lots of little units. But they balance, salt and water, and they clean lots of stuff out of your blood. And if your kidneys are not functioning, your whole body will just fail. Your blood will get toxic to you and you'll die. Also, water fluids will back up in your system. It's very, very bad. You can't live without your kidneys, okay? You'd have to go get dialysis. The kidneys work by blood goes in the kidneys through an artery, big tube, and it dumps through the kidneys, and bad stuff is taken out, and salt and water balances are corrected, and then the blood continues on and goes through the rest of your body. All good. When you take a Motrin or an Aleve for the entire time that it is in your blood, your artery to your kidney, that tube, it shrinks. It stays little. That means less blood goes through your kidney. If you have a filter that's getting kind of clogged, you need to have more water go through it. When you run real far, you have some muscle breakdown. It's unavoidable, doesn't matter how fit or strong you are. The Western States Medical Director and actually Leadville also did some research where they took blood from people to prove that, sure enough, creatine phosphokinase levels were way high. People were getting myoglobin in their blood. It's a completely normal thing. Big molecules. Kidneys filter the stuff out. You're completely fine. Unless you get really dehydrated and unless you don't have enough blood flow through your kidneys. Okay? So when you take a drug that shrinks that tube while doing a sport where you could easily be dehydrated and where you're also damaging your muscles, you greatly increase the risk that you will actually go into acute kidney failure. Acute means right now, quick, as opposed to chronic, which is where you're slowly losing them over time. This happens to ultra runners, especially after hundreds. It can happen for up to 48 hours after you finish. Do not take these drugs during your race. Do not take them after your race for 2 days. I mean, you do you, but it's just a stupid risk to take. Really bad idea. Tylenol does not filter through your kidneys, does not impact your kidneys, filters through your liver. Read the bottle. It says what the maximum safe dose is. Don't be taking more than 2 extra strengths per 5 hours. Bad idea. Will not wreck your kidneys. Can do permanent liver damage if you overdo it enough with Tylenol over enough time. Not going to go into the how and whys of glutathione and how it depletes, and it's pharmacology is complicated, but safe to take during ultras. And another weird thing about Tylenol, and this was discovered, I remember picking it up in some continuing education maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It really isn't a very good pain pill. And so researchers were trying to figure out why people were reporting that their pain was less from Tylenol to a degree that it just wasn't explicable by the way that Tylenol works in the body. You know what they discovered? It's an immediate acting, mild anti-anxiety and antidepressant drug. Yup, it gives you a sense of well-being. So although I would not recommend taking medications generally to get through 100, if you are worried and you're worried about the end of your race and you want to, say, drop bag it or just have it for the very, very end, taking an extra strength Tylenol every 5 hours or so for your last maybe 10 hours might not be a bad idea. It is safe. It's something to consider as a backup. These other drugs, don't do it. Like, I personally know people who have ended up with 3 or 4 days in the intensive care. Now, they give kidney stimulating drugs and all that. And you just get stuck with a huge copay. I don't think I know of anyone who's ever gotten serious permanent damage to kidneys. No guy got a lung abscess. He was told he had pulmonary edema at Leadville, and they told him to send immediately, and he waited around for drop bags. It didn't. and wound up getting pneumonia, which he then tried to run with. The walking pneumonia, got a lung abscess, had to have a third of his lung removed. No bueno. So if you take care of your body and you're aware and you learn these medical things, not every race is going to have well-trained medical people. Some races will actually have ibuprofen available to you in an aid station. You need to take responsibility for yourself and know what is and is not safe. You need to be prepared. All right, the other thing that is bad that ibuprofen and Aleve can do, and this happened to me before I knew to don't take them ever, second 100 miler, is that they increase stomach acid release. It's not that they're acidic. It's not like taking an aspirin that is actually an acid. It's not like having black coffee on an empty stomach or lemon juice or something that's acidic. They actually increase the acid release in your stomach. So if it's hot out, if you're running far, if you already have all the sugar going in, your acid levels in your stomach can get so high that your stomach lining starts to get damaged by the acid. This can happen without taking something to increase, which is why I just take a Tums every 4 or 5 hours. And actually, I figured out that I'd been getting acid damage from this experience because the symptoms were the same, but just much worse. If your stomach bleeds into itself, you can't digest the blood. It will kind of curdle, and you'll eventually throw it up. And it will look like kind of coarse ground coffee grounds or very, very fine curd cottage cheese. It's kind of a brownish purple color. If that happens, yes, I'm suggesting you look at your puke. If that happens late in a race, you have a real problem. Your stomach's bleeding into itself. Usually I'd say tough things out. You signed up for the 100. Take some Tums. Get some sugar and salt in you. Walk it off. Don't drop if they're not making you. If your stomach is bleeding into itself, you should maybe let the medical people know this is happening and you should stop running. Because that can get dangerous. If you get a hole through your stomach into your body cavity and stomach acid starts leaking in there, no, that's like surgical. You can get internal organ damage, very bad. There's finishing and proving you're tough, and then there's being a damn idiot. No NSAIDs, no Motrin, no ibuprofen, no Aleve, no naproxen. Don't take that stuff. Be careful with your stomach. Okay? And if you are worried about... and the symptom was afterwards, after that happened to me, which was, it was like 114 degrees. That was my second 100. I just didn't know enough to know better. And I actually didn't find out till after the race exactly how bad it was. I did manage to walk it out. And I got real lucky that it wasn't any worse. But I couldn't eat significantly for a couple of days. My stomach lining was so damaged I had to do just plain potatoes and rice. And I would be starving. And I could eat 200 or 300 calories and then I'd get nauseous. I could only eat tiny amounts of food at once. Oh my God, it was a drawn out, miserable recovery. But I was often having that symptom of finishing very long races, of finishing 50 milers, occasionally 50Ks, but especially 50 milers, and having trouble eating a bigger meal for a day or two. Usually it lasts about a day. This was worse the time that it was actually bleed. So I figured out that I'd been damaging my stomach lining during racing, just mildly enough. My stomach acid was just getting high real easy, and I didn't have acid reflux before running. I don't suffer from it the rest of the time. It's not a problem I usually have. Only during running real far, and especially if it's hot. Just a problem that I get, and not everyone's prone to this. But if you're getting that symptom where you're feeling like it's very hard to eat, not for an hour or two, that's normal. A lot of people can't eat for the first few hours. Your whole body's just so go. But if you're having where it's hard to eat bigger amounts of food, even though your appetite's already returned and it's lasting a whole day, start thinking about taking some Tums during your race. You do not need to be damaging your stomach. Okay, that's it for the pills. Have a good